Love for sedans has been timeless and has cut across borders. Here in India, sedans have taken some beating from SUVs of all shapes and sizes, but companies and brands like Skoda with the Slavia and now Volkswagen with the all-new Virtus are promising to change all of that. We are here in Atari near Amritsar at the Indo-Pakistan border to test drive this car and see if sedans can once again make a comeback into the Indian car market. You're watching HT Auto, I'm Shubhadeep, and this is the first drive review of the all-new Volkswagen Virtus. In terms of dimensions, the Virtus is longer, wider, taller and has a longer wheelbase than its rivals like the City, Verna and the Ciaz. It is only in terms of width, height and wheelbase that the Virtus matches its technical cousin, the Slavia. Virtus is the second offering from VW under its India 2.0 project, first being the Tiguan. But while Tiguan competes in the lucrative SUV space, the Virtus is a bit of a gamble because of the segment it's going to compete in. But what isn't really a gamble is how this car has been designed from the outside. While looks are subjective, I hope you would agree that this car here in the GT line, and remember there is the dynamic line as well, and we'll come to that a little later in this review, but in the GT line it looks really premium, very sporty, while staying true to its VW aesthetics. That's thanks to this chrome line here on the front grille, and while the trademark VW badge here is what you've seen in the past, the sleek LED DRL and fog light units below look very sharp indeed. At the bottom, the front bumper is broad, chunkier to accentuate its sort of masculine appeal, and there is a chrome line running all the way around here as well. The bonnet is slightly stooping, which adds to its sporty visual appeal. The Virtus stands smart on 16-inch alloy wheels. The alloy design itself is catchy and is in black on the GT line. There is a GT badge on the side, large windows with a chrome belt running all around its bottom. The door handles also get the chrome treatment. In the GT line, the ORVMs have also been done in a contrasting shade of black. Now the same emphasis on a sporty appeal that was on the front of this car makes its way around to the back of the vehicle. So on the rear of the Virtus, on the GT line, you get a blackened wing spoiler on the trunk. You get a black treatment on the LED light units here. There is that chrome that stretches all the way over the rear bumper as well. And my personal favorite is just how big the boot of the Virtus is. 521 liters of boot space means that the cargo space on the Virtus equals that of the Slavia and is bigger than any of its other rivals. The fact that the seats on the back fold 60-40 means that there is additional options as well. The folks at VW have given special attention to the cabin layout of the Virtus, both in terms of features and in terms of space. And there are a whole lot of positives and some things that I wasn't too keen on. But before I get to the second part, let's focus more on the positives. The 10.1-inch screen is nice, large, responsive to touch, it's bright and negates glare under direct sunlight really well. It puts out all the information in a very legible way. It's responsive to touch. As I mentioned, it supports Android Auto and Apple CarPlay wirelessly, mind you, and the connection is very seamless. Right next to it is an almost as large all-digital TFT driver display, which again is very bright and very vivid as well. Just underneath the main entertainment unit are the nice stretched out AC vents. They're conventional, nothing spectacular about it, but the overall appeal of the stretched out dash is great. In terms of feature list, the Virtus gets a conventional size sunroof. It can be operated through a one-touch button right here. You get wireless charging support for compatible phones, and just in case your phone is as ancient as mine, you also get two Type-C points here and a 12-volt charging socket on the center console right here. The center console itself is done in a premium piano black finish, which, while once again attracting a whole lot of dust, looks premium if you can maintain it. The controls for the HVAC are nothing new. It's typical VW. It's touch enabled, so it's very easy to operate for both the front passenger and the driver. In terms of storage options, you get 2 cup holders on the center console. You get some storage space under the central armrest. You get storage space on the doors, big enough for even 1.5 to 2 liter bottles, and a large glove box right here, which by the way is cooled. There is ambient lighting inside the car, and the main infotainment unit is married to an 8-speaker premium sound system. And trust me, we're in Amritsar and we tested the speaker system on some hardcore Punjabi music, and we really were impressed with the sound system. The flat bottom steering wheel also looks nice. It's convenient. It can be adjusted for both rake and reach, so that's great. All the controls for the main infotainment screen and for cruise control are easily placed on the center part of the steering right here. Now coming to the things that, well, I'm not entirely impressed with. First of all, hard plastics. There's a whole lot of hard plastic on the dash, right here, and on the doors as well. The second thing I'm not too keen on, and this is something I mentioned when we were test driving the Taygun as well, the panel in the exterior body color. It clearly is working for VW, and that's why they've decided to make it here in the Virtus as well. But to me personally, it looks a bit tacky. Again, something that I've mentioned in Taygun and I'm mentioning once again. Another thing is the seats. Well, I've mentioned that they are ventilated, but they too seem like they're a little too hard. We will find out how comfortable they are on the move, so if it does manage to negate some of the body roll, but if you're just seated and not moving, they do appear a little too firm for my personal liking. The rear seats of any sedan is equally important, so let's take a look at what the rear seats of the Virtus has on offer. So while the seats themselves are still pretty firm for my personal liking and under thigh support is lacking, you do get generous amount of knee room. Leg room is great as well, and space for my feet is quite adequate. So the wheelbase of the Virtus truly is not just in the numbers but in the space on offer as well. You get conventional central armrests with cup holders here. You get rear AC vents, 2 Type-C charging points. Thankfully, the center console doesn't jut back, so the person in the middle will also have some amount of space for his or her feet. There is a minor bump on the floor bed, but 3 people abreast should also be pretty comfortable. The seating posture is nice. The recline on the back is comfortable. There is decent amount of headroom. I keep saying in all my reviews, I'm not the tallest person, but in this particular car, somebody slightly taller than me should also be pretty comfortable. But the biggest test? How capable is the 1.5 litre motor and that DSG unit? Having driven the Slavia just earlier in the year, I knew keeping high hopes wasn't unwarranted. So as I got inside the more capable variant of the Virtus, it was more of a deja vu. The 4-cylinder TSI has 150 HP and 250 Nm of torque, exactly the same as its Skoda cousin. And therefore, the Virtus is miles and miles ahead of every other rival in the segment in terms of sheer drive pleasure. Fast yet steady, Virtus is also unlike the Vento it replaces and manages to race its way to the triple-digit mark with superb poise. The DSG transmission is absolutely brilliant, ticking numbers off effortlessly throughout ref bands, while the suspension is also tuned well to offer a balanced ride. The Virtus may not be the most eager of sedans to attack corners, and yet body roll too is well controlled. Now we've driven the GT, we've spoken about the engine, we've spoken about the DSG transmission box, but the more affordable option is right here. This is the dynamic trim, the dynamic line, and it's powered by the 1 litre TSI motor, which is mated to a manual transmission. But in this particular model, we're driving the 6-speed AT. So come, let's find out more about it. The biggest takeaway was always going to be the DSG, but even the noise levels were well controlled in the cabin, something that obviously holds true for the Virtus with a 1 litre engine as well. It is indeed remarkable how even the 1 litre motor in the Virtus impresses, whether you drive the 1.5 first or later. For anyone on a tighter budget, this engine with the 680 is a great option to consider. obviously not as quick and obviously not as smooth, the less capable of the two Virtus is, mind you, no slacker. Sprints to 100 may take a few more seconds, but it is far from being a deal breaker. In fact, VW is likely to follow Skoda in the pricing lines, and I will stick my neck out to recommend the 1-litre motor against the 1.5 in a cost to benefit comparison. VW has not always had its strategy right when it comes to sedan for the Indian market. So I'm looking at models like the Amio, Vento, or even the Jetta and the Passat, models which have only had mixed responses from customers. But with the all-new Virtus all set for the Indian roads, VW finally seems to have a dish that's got most of its ingredients correct. What do you make of this car right here? Do let us know. In this episode though, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for watching.